We don't know what happened to Joel Linwood. We got no idea. And that kind of sucks, because he's one of our citizens, you know? He's a South Island bloke. In researching this case, I've heard him be described as a Canterbury man, a Greymouth man. I know that his family are in Invercargill, but I'm not sure exactly where he came from originally, but he's a South Island bloke, so maybe that's enough. Anyway, welcome to my show. I hope you like it. I've got a scripted podcast for you. Today we're going to be talking about... Let's get in the light here. Yeah. Oh, the shadow kind of blocks it. This bloke, Joel Linwood. Yeah. I quite like this photo. I feel like it kind of captures him from what I know. It's you can see he's happy, but he's got that kind of ADHD anxiety going on as well. Yeah, he had ADHD, and apparently he never really got the care he needed for his ADHD. The funding wasn't available, which is, not good. But that's what happened. But what else happened? Well, plenty. So let's read the scripted podcast then. This episode of New Zealand Murder History Podcast, it isn't the most gruesome case I've ever covered on this channel, but it's still horrible how the family was treated, and still probably not suitable for children. I say parental guidance is recommended. We're talking about the untimely death of 31-year-old South Island man Joel Linwood. My show is just for educational purposes and is not intended to cause upset or offend the family and friends of Joel Linwood. But anyone out there who is watching who might be suffering from PTSD or I don't know, some other problem that's not good, seek support. Go to your GP and take it from there, or call one of the many 800 numbers available. The last reported sighting of Joel Linwood was July the 18th, 2021, and he was seen running towards the Waimakariri River after being in a single car crash on Old West Coast Road. Now, one minor detail I wish to point out here. Not the West Coast Road that runs through Greymouth and Hokitika and all that. I mean the Old West Coast Road that goes west of Christchurch. And it's just called that because it used to be the road that goes through to the West Coast. It connects back onto State Highway 73 and then goes up into the Arthurs Pass over to Greymouth and, to the West Coast. But Old West Coast Road is very much on the East Coast and runs close to the Waimakariri River. So, Canterbury. I think technically you could say Selwyn District, but I just call that whole thing Canterbury High Country. But now that we've got that cleared up, before we take a look at the information available on the bizarre disappearance of 31-year-old Joel Linwood, and believe me, it won't take long as there's almost nothing been reported to date within the New Zealand mainstream media. But anyway, before we take a look at this case, there's something I want to mention. I would like to personally apologize from me and also on behalf of my show, New Zealand Murder History Podcast, to Cherie Linwood, Joel Linwood's mum. I'm sorry. You were right. We don't know from the limited information available what really happened to your son Joel. And no, he didn't drown trying to cross the Waimakariri River in flood. You see, I read on an article on the New Zealand Herald website by Annalise, family gutted after body of missing man Joel Linwood found near North Canterbury River. And I don't actually think it said specifically that he drowned, but it mentioned that he was found near the river, and I assumed it meant near the river mouth. But anyway, that's what led me to thinking that it would be a safe assumption that Joel Linwood did in fact drown in the flooded Waimakariri, which he did not. I was wrong. Coroner Alexandra Cunningham agrees with you and has ruled your son's death as unexplained. So I'm sorry for spreading misinformation in Joel Linwood's case. Spreading misinformation is the opposite of what this channel is about. So once again, I'm sorry for that. And I hope one day you find out what really happened. This will be the last video I make about Joel Linwood, unless some kind of, crazy new information comes to light maybe, but I don't think so. This is going to be the conclusion. Yeah, and I'm not very good at apologies, you can probably tell, but once again, I'm truly sorry for that. But anyway, back to the video then. What do we know about the very low-profile disappearance of Joel Linwood? Well, basically, on the 18th of July 2021, Joel Linwood cut off his electronic bracelet ahead of the up-and-coming July 31st court appearance. So he was due in court in Christchurch on some pretty lame charges. They were driving while disqualified, and yeah. Anyway, he picks up two friends. Now, I'm going to leave their names out, as I don't think from the information available that they had anything to do with his death. But, it's just one bloke and one female. So now the trio is heading from Greymouth to Christchurch in a stolen Hilux. They would have taken the Arthur's Pass. And after the town of Sheffield, they took a left onto Old West Coast Road. And shortly after that, they crashed into a paddock. Still pretty close to the town of Sheffield. Some sources say that the Hilux flipped, while another article said that they simply nosedived into the paddock. I actually think the car flipped because I read that in more articles that it landed on its roof or something. But yeah, like I said, different accounts of the crash being reported. Anyway, a family pulls over to assist, and Joel Linwood asks for a lift to his dad's place. They jump in the car and start driving, but however, Joel Linwood, he tried to change plans and asked to get dropped off at his friend's place in West Melton instead. The family saw the red flags, and not wanting to be involved with a man they never met fleeing the scene of an accident, they did the only sensible thing they could, really, and they did a U-turn and took Joel Linwood back to the wrecked Hilux. And that was that. His friend at the crash scene said he was running towards the flooded Waimakariri River, and this would be the last sighting of Joel. And the last digital communication was when he messaged his girlfriend over Facebook Messenger about the crash. So this is at 12 minutes past 4, so 4 in the afternoon, so still daylight. And anyway, his girlfriend, she tried to call him, but he didn't pick up. And then so Joel Linwood messaged her over Facebook. Crash, hun. Love you lots. XOXO. Old West Coast Road. Springfield. Mum. And then I'm guessing she tries to call again because the second message says, Babe, I'm hiding. Stop running, you using my battery up. I think that's actually an autocorrect mistake. It's supposed to be, Babe, I'm hiding, stop ringing, you're using my battery up. But anyway, those are possibly the last words that Joel Linwood said to anybody. But maybe not. Maybe he got away from the crash site. But anyway, a search was conducted, but even the police said that the search was lacking, blaming COVID-19 restrictions. Now, it's worth mentioning that members of his family say police did not care to search for Joel, as he was a criminal. And when Joel was found in early June 2022, close to the crash site almost an entire year later, well, that kind of backs up the Linwood family's point. So I guess police, kind of like myself, assumed that because the last sighting of Joel Linwood was him running towards the Waimakariri River in flood, that he drowned trying to cross the river. But even then, you would hope they would ground search along the banks of the river, or from the crash site until they got to the sea, or found Joel. But anyway, they didn't. And thinking about it now, Joel Linwood was a New Zealander. He would have known not to try to cross a swollen river. That's more like something a tourist would do. Well, according to stuff.co.nz article, wanted man likely died of exposure while hiding from police, written December the 14th, 2023, by Nadine Roberts, available on www.stuff.co.nz. There was some small-scale searches done by police, including 2 searches using a dog and a helicopter on July the 18th and August the 7th, 2021. So there you have it, boys and girls. That's all the info I could find on the disappearance of Joel Linwood, and then obviously subsequently they found him almost a year later. And like I said at the start, facts are few and far between. And because he was not found for 11 months, all we have left is possibilities. So what could have possibly happened to Joel Linwood then? Well, we know he didn't try to cross the Waimakariri. He was found on the same side of the river as the car crash. I read another one that said, actually no, it was this one, sorry, it's the same article. Yeah, anyway. I read a lot of articles. I'll reference them mostly at the end, but anyway, some of the articles I read said that he died of exposure, hypothermia, etc. In fact, that's what the coroner said probably happened, although she ruled the death as unexplained. But after hiding from police in a pond. His mum doesn't think this is what happened. And I kind of agree with her, because, Joel Linwood was a South Islander. He would have known that being wet and cold in a pond, no less, but even just in the bush all night, let's say if this was true and he got out of this pond, just being wet and cold in the bush all night in the month of July, it's just not a safe option to pick. Surely he would go back to the crashed Toyota Hilux and look for some dry clothes or a blanket or something. The police wouldn't have been there all night. And even if there simply wasn't any dry clothes, why didn't he try to get to his friend's house in West Melton? Now, I looked it up on Google Maps. It's actually further than I thought from Sheffield. It's 32.5 k's on Google Maps. But this guy, Joel Linwood, was apparently very good at stealing cars. So, he could have easily stolen another car or hitched a lift, or he could have walked half the night and got there. He's not just going to sit around all wet and cold in the middle of winter. He's just not, of course, people do die of hypothermia, so I agree it's plausible, but again, I just can't imagine the 31-year-old South Islander planning to hide in a pond all night in July of all, it doesn't, anyway. It doesn't quite fit, but, anyway, I have a theory of my own. Tell me what you lot reckon. I don't know. But this is what I think anyway. What if Joel Linwood got a brain injury in the car crash? An article by Chris Lynch, mother of missing man hoping body discovered near Canterbury River is her son, written June the 6th, 2022, available on www.chrislynch.media. Sorry, it's just Chris Lynch Media, no dot, .com. So let me just read that again. Available on www.chrislynchmedia.com. States that one of the passengers had an injured back and the other one got concussion. So if Joel Linwood was driving without a seatbelt, I'm wondering if he hit his head onto the steering wheel with force. I mean, it's possible, right? Like, anyway, you may have noticed, again, I'm not naming the male passenger and female passenger. They're just probably trying to get on with their life now after the bad car crash and the death of their friend Joel Linwood. So let's just leave their name out of the comments section, please. We don't need to bother them now. But anyway, a brain injury doesn't always present as obvious. That's why they scan for them in A&E and stuff like that. Perhaps Joel Linwood was in pain when the family picked him up. He may just have not wanted to mention anything and make them worry about him, you know? And then, full of adrenaline and knowing the police had been called, remember he had cut off his ankle bracelet in Greymouth and possibly stole the Hilux, and plus he crashed the Hilux, so if he in fact was driving, I'm not 100% sure on that, but anyway, he takes off running in a panic, you know? Now, he did have a short text message conversation over Facebook Messenger with his girlfriend, telling her about the crash. She tries to call, but he asks her not to, as he needed to save battery. Now, it's my theory, I'm not saying this is what happened, it's just what I reckon, but it's my theory that he probably died soon after that. And then by the time they were able to recover Joel Linwood, the coroner could no longer test for a brain injury. Look, I wasn't there. I don't know Joel Linwood. Although I did live in Greymouth at the same time as him. I never met the man. I'm not a doctor or nothing. I'm just a chef with a part-time YouTube channel. But that's what I reckon probably happened on the 18th of July, 2021. I say there's like 85% chance that's how it all played out, eh? But anyway, let's look at the last possibility then. Joel Linwood was murdered by person or persons unknown. Joel Linwood was so desperate to get out of Greymouth that he cut off his ankle bracelet, stole a Toyota Hilux, and took off heading to Christchurch. Are these the actions of a man with enemies out for his head? Yeah. There could be. But equally, could just be the actions of a bloke who has ADHD and a bad habit of chronic overthinking. I mean, I myself can say from my own experience, chronic overthinking can lead people to their doom. But then again, he was a member of the Mads gang. Look, I might be wrong, but I don't think this guy Joel Linwood, I don't think he was really like a ruthless gangster hardcore, eh? I mean, like I said, I never met the man, and the information is pretty sketchy at best on this whole case, but from limited info I have been able to find, from researching a few articles here and there, it's, I mean, he's not exactly the French Connection, you know what I mean? Still, even low-level gang members can have bad enemies. But he was found near the crashed Toyota Hilux. So how would any of his enemies know where to find him? Unless Joel Linwood had an iPhone? and people were using the Find My iPhone app. I mean, I suppose he could have been double-crossed by one of the passengers, but nah, that doesn't really fit. They were both injured in the crash, and they would have been solely focused on getting medical attention, I'd say. The only way I can see that Joel Linwood came to harm, at the hands of other people is... Check this out. What if Joel was able to escape the crash somehow? What if he took off running through the forest and made it to his friend's place in West Melton, or some other associate's place? The dogs failed to pick up his scent. I mean, I'm not sure if they were even using bloodhounds. Typically, when the police just first show up, they have Alsatians, which aren't really that good at sniffing out a trail. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a dog, it can do it, but it's not as good as a bloodhound or anyway. So what if he escaped and then he was for some reason killed by person or persons unknown? I mean, who, what, where, why, how? I have no idea. I mean, I really wouldn't know, you know. Like I said before, Joel Linwood, he wasn't really a big-time criminal kind of guy. He seemed to have committed quite a few crimes, I suppose, stole some cars and whatnot, but he wasn't the kingpin, He just wasn't. But maybe that doesn't matter. I mean, if you're watching my show, which clearly you are, then you would know that people get killed in New Zealand over dumb shit all the time. Sometimes over nothing at all. But for a man to cut off his ankle bracelet, flee the town of Greymouth, make it almost all the way from west to east across the South Island, and then get killed? Well, you might expect a more serious reason behind such a murder plot, like... Well, you know, there's almost nothing online about this case, so I choose not to come up with any theories of my own, as I just wouldn't know. And I would just be building a magic castle, so we won't do that. But something I do want to mention, I'm going off topic a bit here, but check this out. So there was a case in North Wellington about, I can't remember, it was like 12, 13, 14 years ago, something. Anyway, there was a car crashed up in the Haywards Hill. For those of you not from that area, Haywards Hill goes in between Porirua and the Hutt Valley. But anyway, the cops found the car smashed up in that, and there was no one in sight. Now, later on, a body was found down a bank, just down from the car wreck, and police believed that the whole thing was staged to look like an accident. And they believed the body of a male victim was then placed there after the fact, or after the car was dumped, you know? Anyway, I can't find this case again online, as I don't know the name of the victim or the details of the crime, but I just wanted to point out that the extraordinary lengths that some criminals will go to make a murder look like the victim simply died in a car accident. So here's the question. Could Joel Linwood have been killed and put close to where the Toyota Hilux crashed, but at a later date? And the answer to that is, well, yeah, for sure. Why not? But then again, it takes a special kind of criminal to pull off a hit like that. Like someone who's done this kind of thing before. And honestly, most of our crooks over in New Zealand, they're just not quite that good. But some are, so... Anyway, it's totally plausible. You know what? We've come this far. Fuck it. Let's take a look at the for and against, boys and girls. 4. His mother, Cherie Linwood, says she believes something sinister has happened to him. Now, this was in a short video available on www.stuff.co.nz. In the article's body found near Canterbury River is man missing since last year, mother says. Well, that was a mouthful. Hang on, let's try that again. Body found near Canterbury River is man missing since last year, mother says. Written by Sam Sherwood and Nadine Porter on 7th of June 2022. Against. In the theory, Joel Linwood was a victim. So, against the theory that Joel Linwood was a victim of foul play, something the coroner has ruled out. So the coroner ruled that out. 4. Joel Linwood was so desperate to get out of the town of Greymouth, he cuts off his ankle bracelet and steals a Toyota Hilux. Or at least somehow acquires a stolen Hilux. Anyway, he flees the West Coast. Against. Otago Daily Times article, man's death still a mystery following coroner's report. Written December the 14th, 2023 by Sam Sherwood, available on www.odt.co.nz, says coroner Alexandra Cunningham ruled out foul play, but she did rule his death as unexplained. Anyway, 4. When the police searched with a heat-seeking drone, they didn't see Joel Linwood. Now this could mean that he simply wasn't there, and then was perhaps later killed and taken back to the crash site. But I'm not saying that's what happened. I mean, it could mean a lot of things. It could also mean that he just sustained a serious head injury, like I said before, and unfortunately died, and that's why the drone didn't see him with the heat-seeking camera, you know? I mean, it could just be as simple as the drone malfunctioned, and Joel Linwood was there all along, hiding in the woods. I agree with his mum, though. He wasn't hiding in a pond all night. He just wasn't. Anyway, against. If Joel Linwood was in fact on the run from people who were out to cause him harm, how would they know his location? I mean, clearly he made it away from the town of Greymouth, so look, I can't really speculate any further. It's like I said before, the facts are few and far between on this one. And I don't want to speak on what I don't know, so I won't. And I guess that means we'll just have to leave it there, party people. But what do you guys think? Do you think Joel Linwood might have been the victim of a crime? Tell me what you think in the comments section. But be careful when you choose your words, because his family may watch this video. In fact, they probably will. They watch my other videos, so just don't say anything mean about well, you know what I mean. Like, Joel Linwood, he might have stolen a few cars here and there, but hey, no one's perfect. Me personally, I think he probably died of a head injury. Eh? I mean, I think that's what happened, and he was there the whole time, but a proper search was not conducted. But like I said, I wasn't there. I don't know how this all played out. I mean, was the coroner right to rule out foul play without the cause of death? I mean, look, I'm not really qualified to criticize a coroner. I just think without the cause of death, it's dangerous to say that nothing, sinister has occurred. I mean, I thought a coroner, like a medical examiner and all that, they would only rule on facts. Like, why didn't they just rule the whole thing as unexplained? I mean, I can see that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, that's all I had to say about this case. About the disappearance of Joel Linwood, yeah, and then the subsequent finding and the coroner's report and all that. Yeah, so just a side note to my viewers who are not from New Zealand. I know in other countries you get like bear attacks and stuff like that, but we really don't have crazy animals like polar bears and tigers, crazy shit like that. So that's why a wild animal attack wasn't on my list of what ifs. I mean, yeah, we got like deer and goats and chamois, wild pigs and stuff. But even wild pigs only ever hurt pig hunters who are trying to kill them in self-defense. I mean, they don't just like attack some bloke hiding from the police in the bushes. And even a seal doesn't go you on land unless you stand in between the seal and the sea. They don't like that. But anyway, he was nowhere near the mouth of a river, not even close. So yeah, he was way inland. We just don't have any of them apex predators. That's what it's called. Those apex predator things, tigers and all that. We don't really have that. I mean, even a caterpillar spider, which is deadly. They only live in dead driftwood on the North Island beaches. They're critically endangered. I've never seen one, and I've been looking for them ever since I was a kid. So before you go looking on Google search New Zealand native poisonous spider, no, that's not what happened to Joel Linwood. But anyway, that's it. That's my show. I found that one very difficult to write, I'm not going to lie. Now, to finish this one, let's read 2 comments on my first video, WTF happened to Joel Linwood. The first one is from a friend who calls himself Jim Bob. Almost certainly not his real name, but hey, whatever. I choose to be anonymous on YouTube myself. Ever rest now, brother. See you at the flaming gates. Southern bread all day. Thanks for watching, Jim Bob. Have a good one. Yeah, this next one I think is from his girlfriend that was calling him after the crash, although I can't verify that. I think I'll leave the silly voices out for this one. It seems kind of disrespectful. She just says, rest in peace, bye, sweet honey. You are my best friend. I miss you every day. Haha. Hiding up a tree. Nice one, my love. I think that's another autocorrect mistake. It's supposed to say, my sweet honey. Although, bye, sweet honey also makes sense because she's saying goodbye to Joel Linwood. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, Bianca. I hope you are well. Okay, that's a wrap, party people. This video is going up on the end of September 2024, over 3 years after the crash, but we still don't know what really happened to Joel Linwood. Chef, New Zealand Murder History Podcast. Actually, before I go, I better reference this one, Yeah, so apart from the articles I already mentioned, I read Wanted Man likely died of exposure while hiding from police, written December the 14th, 2023 by Nadine Roberts, and you can find that one on www.stuff.co.nz. And the photo on the thumbnail, the photo I showed you before, that's from Death of Canterbury Man Remains Unexplained. This article was written by Sam Sherwood on the 14th of December 2023. And it says Star News, but you find it on odt.co.nz, so that means otagodailytimes.co.nz. Yeah, that's it. That's my show. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.